For those that don't know, this could.
I'm one of those that don't know. Tell me, please. Why are we crying?
The Supreme Court ruled Monday for the Trump administration.
To what, girl? To what? What is the Supreme Court rule?
And agreed U.S. immigration agents may stop and detain anyone they suspect in the U.S. illegally based on little more than working at a gas station, at a restaurant, at a car wash, speaking Spanish, or having brown skin. That is all they need.
That's what we're crying about? What matter with you? You know what? Let me get rid of or I'll do you one better. I'll add another one and I'll be trans for the rest of this story, because that's how ridiculous this is. I'm so sick of these people crying about this. That's not even the way the ruling works, to tell you the truth. I went ahead and looked into it because I saw this woman crying like this. By the way, what's up, everybody? Ty Rivera here, the absolute best LGBT, focus on the T, Q comedian in the world. I've had it, and I'm not going to do that with these in my chest for the rest of it. But yeah, I thought this was ridiculous, so I went ahead and looked into it because, we've been having to cover the Charlie Kirk situation, and this one is just one to talk about that's silly, and I'm tired of people misrepresenting it because it's not based solely on those things, which is the way that she makes it sound. And I hate the way she looked down like she was actually reading the decision. I'll tell you, I read the decision. It was 33 pages. I'm not going to put you through all of it because I didn't even want to sit and read 33 pages. Believe me, I didn't want to sit and read 33 pages because it goes into Justice Kavanaugh's concurrence and then it goes into Justice Sotomayor's dissent. It didn't have any of the other concurring. So I'll read to you from what Justice Kavanaugh said. Like I said, I'm just going to read a couple quick excerpts, just enough to make the point, because I would technically call this a ruling, and it's a temporary ruling anyway, but I would technically consider it a ruling that's kind of if it looks like a duck and it sounds like a duck and it walks like a duck, then you can at least ask for the duck's papers. That's the way I would classify this. And the border czar, Tom Homan, if you guys aren't familiar, has already said several times that it's several factors that add up to reasonable suspicion.
Despite what the media said, mischaracterized me or said, well, reasonable suspicion can be based on looks alone. I never said that. I said looks are one of many factors you have to consider. It's a multitude of factors to establish reasonable suspicion. But if an illegal alien has an MS-13 tattoo on his head, that's certainly going to be one of the factors that we consider when we add a bunch of factors together. It's a culmination of factors, not one factor, different factors.
Which to me makes a lot of sense. And when they had the temporary ruling where they weren't allowed to do this, really what it was making it seem like to me is it was really hindering what would usually be referred to as good police work. Because if I say, hey, there's this person committing this particular crime, but you can't go to any of the places that they might be possibly hanging out, you can't use any deductive reasoning to figure out if maybe that's our suspect. You just basically have to wait for them to do something wrong. And then even then, because California is a sanctuary state, the police won't hold them for you. So where are we? Under what circumstances can ICE ask these people questions? But like I was saying, Tom Homan has always said that it would not just be one factor that they would want to question somebody about. It would be several factors that add up to them having reasonable suspicion, which to me makes sense under any other circumstance. But when it comes to illegals, we're supposed to go extra easy on them. So let's read some of what Brett Kavanaugh himself had to say and see if you think that that's what it adds up to. To be clear, apparent ethnicity alone cannot furnish reasonable suspicion under this court's case law regarding immigration stops. However, it can be a relevant factor when considered along with other salient factors. In any event, the balance of harms and inequities in this case tips in favor of the government. The interest of the individuals who are illegally in the country and avoiding being stopped by law enforcement for questioning is ultimately an interest in evading the law. That is not an especially weighty legal interest. So basically, it's saying that your desire to evade the law, in other words, avoid being detected, is not a weighty issue when it comes to the court. That's not something they're really going to consider, that you're trying to get away with something illegal, which is not what anybody would think that the court is supposed to do anyway. I don't know what courts these people went to, but any court I ever went to, they were out to get me. And let me tell you, I've been kidnapped by the police a couple of times in my younger years. To be sure, I recognize and fully appreciate that many, not all, but many illegal immigrants come to the United States to escape poverty and the lack of freedom and opportunities in their home countries and to make better lives for themselves and their family. And I understand that they may feel somewhat misled by the varying U.S. approaches to immigration enforcement over the last few decades. So that obviously different administrations had different ways they were running it. So people might feel misled because Obama said one thing, Trump said another that was kind of in line with what Obama was saying. Biden came in and said something that was completely different from what either of them were saying. And then we're back to Trump. So Justice Kavanaugh recognizes that people may feel misled depending on which administration they came here under. But the fact remains that under the laws passed by Congress and the president, they are acting illegally by remaining in the United States. At least unless Congress and the president choose some other legislative approach to legalize some or all of those individuals now illegally present in the country. So obviously, until the president or Congress decide to step in and change these laws, these are the laws. And by illegally immigrating into and remaining in the country, they are not only violating the immigration laws, but also jumping in front of those non-citizens who follow the rules and wait in line to immigrate into the United States through the legal immigration process. There's other people waiting. You can't just jump in because you decided you were more important than everybody else. Get it through your thick heads. There's a process. But let somebody start trying to remove people from this country and suddenly they're like, where's your warrant? The same place as your green card. They don't got one just like you don't got one. I guess everybody's riding dirty. And I know some people are going to be like, but the government should always Sometimes you gotta fight fire with fire. For those reasons, the interest of illegal immigrants in evading questioning and thus evading detection of their illegal presence are not particularly substantial as a legal matter. Moreover, as for stops of those individuals who are legally in the country, the questioning in those circumstances is typically brief, and those individuals may promptly go free after making clear to the immigration officers that they are U.S. citizens or otherwise legally in the United States. So if you've got a green card or you've got an ID like me, because certain people love to act like, wait until they pull you over. Well, I'm not proud of it, but I've been pulled over a couple of times since all this went into effect, and clearly they could smell the American entitlement on me because I'm going to tell you guys the truth. I got pulled over for speeding, which I'm ashamed of in a way, because I'm just like, I was paying attention to my puppy and we were on a long drive. And so I went to pull her over with me because she was like letting me know she didn't want to be in her bed anymore and she wanted to sit on my lap or whatever. And so I went to grab her and I was driving fast. So I didn't notice the cop because I still would have been driving fast, to tell you guys the truth. There was nobody else on the road. And so I didn't notice the cop. And then when I looked up, he was there. It was like a sheriff or a highway patrol. He didn't ask me any questions out of the ordinary. I immediately had my driver's license, my insurance, my registration. I always have everything in hand as soon as they come to the window. That way they don't have to really deal with any extra and we don't have to go through a bunch of extra rigmarole. I know how this works. You know how this works. We both know I was speeding, so let's just move it along. Obviously, I'm in a hurry. You saw how fast I was going. And so I went ahead and handed him my stuff. He asked me the regular questions, you know, where are you headed? Maybe he asked why you were going so fast. I don't remember. But I remember him being very nice. Like, he was like, hey, buddy, and blah, blah, blah. And, he asked me about my dog. And I was like, yeah, I just was riding with her. Whatever. By that time I'd put her, because when he came over and I had to grab my stuff, I put her back in her seat. And so, but yeah, it's been nothing. And also I had to go through the border checkpoint when I was on my way to California. And it's been nothing every time. I don't know why everybody's making it seem like such a scary situation if you're brown. I'm brown. I have a bunch of tattoos that could make me mistaken for being gang affiliated, a bunch of piercings. I look crazy. I get nothing. So I don't know why everybody's so scared, but maybe the only people that really need to be scared are people that are here illegally. So basically that's what that part is saying, is that it's a quick process if you've got your shit together. So either have your shit together or be prepared to take a trip. In short, the balance of harms and equities favors the government here, especially in an immigration case like this one. It is also important to stress the proper role of the judiciary. The judiciary does not set immigration policy or decide enforcement priorities. It should come as no surprise that some administrations may be more laissez-faire in enforcing immigration law and other administrations more strict. So basically what he's saying is, we all know that certain administrations, Biden, were a little more lax, where other administrations, Trump, may be a little more strict. That's not their business. Article 3 judges may have views on which policy approach is better or fairer, but judges are not appointed to make those policy calls. We merely ensure in justiciable cases that the executive branch acts within the confines of the Constitution and federal statutes. Just as this court a few years ago declined to step outside our constitutionally assigned role to improperly compel greater executive branch enforcement of the immigration laws, see United States versus Texas, Biden versus Texas, we now likewise must decline to step outside our constitutionally assigned role to improperly restrict reasonable executive branch enforcement of the immigration laws. So what they're saying right there is, or what he's saying right there is, just like we didn't tell Biden that he needed to be more strict when Biden was going through their whole thing with Texas and Governor Abbott, if you guys don't remember that whole situation. So just like they had to stay out of that part of it back then, now that Trump is being more strict, they have to stay out of it the same way and just make sure that what they are doing and the way that they are enforcing is according to the Constitution. Consistency and neutrality are hallmarks of good judging, and in my view, we abide by those enduring judicial values in this case by granting the stay. In sum, the government has demonstrated a fair prospect of success on the merits and has met the other factors of an interim stay pending appeal of the district court's injunction. I therefore vote to grant the government's application. So what do you want from me, Toots? Sorry it didn't turn out in your favor. There's a new sheriff in town, but he's not new. He's been here for 8 months now. Get with the program or get to stepping. Pack your bags. Hasta luego. Vaya con Dios. Huevos rancheros. I think I got that part from Family Matters. I think Urkel said it one time.
If you speak Spanish or have brown skin, you are in danger.
Okay, I have brown skin, but I don't speak Spanish. So apparently I'm not in danger. But you said or, so I am still halfway in danger. Why don't we all just really throw them off by speaking perfect English? Oh, that's right. Because a lot of people that have been here for a very long time have made no effort to learn the language, have made no effort to assimilate, so they can't blend. Maybe the reason they didn't learn the language was because they knew it was temporary too. Gross. Can you get some Kleenex or some toilet paper? What are you, 5? Oh, and don't let me forget, like, comment, and subscribe. We got a goal we're trying to get to, so do your part.
My family's in danger.
So this is what this has been about all along. Your little dusty family has had 8 months to get their shit in order and get out. And they've chosen not to. And so have the rest of the illegals. And I'm going to tell you real quick and do you a favor. All of these illegals, they have a toxic relationship with the United States. It's like the United States is like a boyfriend that you've been living with and has already told you that he's not into anymore. Your services are no longer needed. It's time for you to move out. But you're saying, oh no, I belong here. I live here. I'm with you. I love you. But your boyfriend is saying, no, I'm done with you. We're not a thing. I never really wanted you to live here in the first place. But you're like, well, guess what? I'm not leaving. I've decided I'm going to stay. And you can evict me if you want to, but I'm still going to stay. And it's like, all right, well, at a point, everybody's going to stop feeling bad for you because the fact of the matter is, this is the policy. And what you have to remember is we're only 8 months in, so we still have over 3 years to go. And what's going to happen is the general public is going to get more and more tired of this argument, and more of them are going to begin to see it our way, our government's way, and be like, okay, well, why don't you leave now? If it's been this long and you're still running through this, at what point do you just pack up and go? Like, I read one story on a video that I did about a woman who was living in, I believe it was San Bernardino, California. She had land in Mexico. She had a house in San Bernardino that her and her husband had been living at, and she was going to self-deport. And they were making it sound like a really sad story, but to me, it sounded like she had played it perfectly. And if she left at that point, like she said she was going to, she would have been a success story. Because you bought land back in Mexico. You are a landowner. You've got a place that you're living in San Bernardino. You can sell that, go back to Mexico. And they were making it sound sad because she was like, well, my family, my sons, and their kids live here in California, so now they're going to have to go to Mexico to meet. Well, tough titty, said the kitty, but the milk was good. We all would like to live closer to our parents. Not me. I mean, like, I'm close enough, trust me. But, you know, a lot of us would like to live closer to our family. But it's not always going to be possible. So what makes your story any more special than anybody else's? You take the money from selling that house in San Bernardino, you go build something on your land in Mexico, possibly buy a trailer, modular home. There's some nice ones nowadays. I know people are going to make fun of me, but it was one of my lifelong dreams to live in a trailer. Who knew I wanted to grow up to be a failure? But I really did want to live in a trailer when I was young. And I might still make that happen at some point. I haven't fully decided. Anyway, you could be living my dream, but in Mexico. I don't want to live in Mexico, but my point still stands. This woman is a success story if she leaves the way that she leaves. You raise some kids, you made sure they're United States citizens, they're off to a good start, your grandkids are off to a good start. So you're living the dream, lady. And your family should do the same thing. Like, understand it's just time for them to go. If you really love them, don't let them stay here and be humiliated and get taken back on the government's terms. Let them leave on their own terms. Tell them to go ahead and report to the government that they're going to self-deport, get their $1,000, use that for moving money. If your mom and your dad are both illegal, that's $2,000 that they'll have towards their move. Hire a moving truck, sell everything. Who cares? There's ways that this can be figured out. But crying isn't going to help anything. And definitely wipe your snotty nose. Sorry, I'm a little frustrated.
And we have to step up. We have to be the change. We have to spread the word.
Who's we? You got a mouse in your pocket? Because I guess I am kind of spreading the word right now, but probably not in the way you would want me to. But I'm getting it out there. I'm doing my part. See, I'm a hero. I'm a hero to my own people. I mean, that's one thing I got to talk about really, really quick. Indulge me. I'm tired of people telling me that these are my people. They're not my people. I have no connection with Mexico at all. I don't even have extended family there that I know of. I'm sure traceably in some way, if we were to do a 23andMe, you'd be able to be like, okay, well, this little family in Puebla, Mexico. I think that's where my dad said my family came from. I don't even remember. I don't even care. If I were to find out that I had some family member in Mexico that was trying to get a hold of me, if they were really rich, I would be all ears. But outside of that, I don't need it. I don't need family members just to have family members. I have plenty of family members right here in this country that I don't even speak to, that I don't even see, that I wouldn't recognize if I bumped into them on the streets. So I don't know why people always want to be like, these are your people. No, they're not my people. My people are United States citizens. I don't know how else to say that. And they're like, you voted for this. Yeah, I voted for this. You're right. I 100% take responsibility. I did vote for this because I wanted my actual people to thrive. The American people, United States citizens. I have no loyalty to any other country. Sorry, but I just don't. I know the skin would imply that I should have loyalty, but I do indoor tanning. So even the skin isn't really the indicator that you think it would. I'm actually much lighter than this naturally. Not quite albino, not white passing, but lighter than this. Don't confuse me with naturally having that working skin. I'm not naturally a shade of manual labor. Sorry, I'm a little giddy. You know, we've been heavy lately with the Charlie Kirk situation, and appropriately so. But it's nice to really shit on immigrants for a minute. Which, just to be clear really quick, immigrants are cool. Illegal immigrants, over it. Tired of it. Tired of being told I'm supposed to have emotion for these people. So yeah, I am a little bit giddy and I am laughing a lot because people like this have really started to get on my nerves. And I want to be very clear and open about that. And I know that I speak for a lot of people. A lot of us are done with the waterworks.
Make sure to keep your family as safe as you can. You know, let them be informed, and that's the best that we can do.
Oh, they're informed, and they feel the same way I do about it. As far as what we're trying to keep safe from is these illegal immigrants that'll once in a while get a little squirrely and do some stuff that we don't need them doing. Like, I'll tell you a quick story. Once when I was very young, I want to say still in the latter part of my teens, the absolute last years of my teens to be technical, I was in my parents' neighborhood for Christmas, a neighborhood that they lived in at that time. And some of the neighborhood kids came up to us and said, hey, do you want to see a dead body? And I was like, yeah, sure. And they said, follow us. So we were in a truck and we followed them very slowly, like a block away. And there was a guy who had got one, like literally, and he was just laid back in his front porch. Well, it was like the walkway to the gate. You know, those little walkways to the gate? It was the walkway to the gate. And it was like he had been popped so clean and it had just knocked him straight back, that he was laying straight back on that walkway, and you could kind of see in his head. And I'm not joking. I'm not just saying this just as a story to say. He was illegal, and the people that did it, illegal as well. And what they did was went right back to Mexico, which is a very common thing. People will do crime here. They'll go back to Mexico, and then when everything cools off, they'll come back. So if you want to talk about what I'm trying to keep my family safe from, it's stuff like that. And yeah, while they are busting certain people that are actually just doing their jobs, whatever their jobs may be, that they shouldn't be doing either, that we'll talk about on another video, there are also people like that here that are getting busted too. But for some reason, the mainstream media doesn't want to tell you about all of those people, the PDF files and the R-wordists from other countries that are currently residing amongst the rest of us. So that's what I'm trying to keep my family safe from. That's what we're staying informed about. Now let's land this plane, sweet cheeks, because I'm getting kind of tired of your mouth.
But, yep, the Supreme Court ruled this on Monday for the Trump administration.
And thank God for the Supreme Court, and God bless the Supreme Court. And I read Sonia Sotomayor's dissent, and let me tell you, it was a bunch of encouraging thinking like this. And that's why I'm not going to bother reading it. You can find it on plenty other channels with people that are bleeding hearts trying to be like, Sonia Sotomayor let them know you can't just judge people for being Mexican or for looking Latino. Well, guess what? I do it every day. Anyway, that's where I'm at on it. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you want to see a video of me talking about a fat girl that got busted for being disrespectful at a Charlie Kirk memorial and now she's ruined her entire life, click the video on your screen. Other than that, as always, thank you for watching. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.